Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you through your abundant grace and mercy. You've allowed us to come together to conduct the city's business. And Father, we help us to come together in the spirit of unity. Even though we may disagree, let us not disrespect or disagree or engage from one another, but continue to work together as brothers and sisters. We say a special prayer of all our brothers and sisters serving in the armed forces all over the world, keeping us safe. And Father, we ask you to watch over our first responders. Watch over them as they watch over us. So carefully give you the praise, the honor, and the glory you do. In your Son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we got, President, you checked this all in, didn't you? I can't hear.
No. Commissioner Kennedy is absent. Commissioner Wilson?
Here.
Mayor Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Firstner?
Here.
Commissioner Oliver?
Here.
Okay, presentation, we have presentations, proclamation. We have presentations of John Land Years of Service Award. Ooh, to me, but Mayor Johnson, the Florida League of Cities. Tell us your name and all. I'm sorry. We didn't get out here.
Thank you, Mayor. And good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, staff, and citizens. My name is Erin Alcorn. I am the Member Services Administrator from the Florida League of Cities, which is located in Tallahassee, Florida. And just for the benefit of the audience members who may have never heard of the Florida League of Cities, we are the statewide association for Florida's 411 cities, towns, and villages. And our mission has remained the same since our beginning, which is to protect local decision making, because we believe local decisions should be made by those who know their communities best. And so I do want to take a moment to say thank you to the city of Ocoee for being a valued and committed member of the Florida League of Cities. But I am here tonight to recognize a remarkable public servant and community leader. And it's my honor to present the John Land Years of Service Award to Mayor Rusty Johnson in recognition of his 40 years of service to the city of Ocoee. The Mayor John Land Years of Service Award was named after Apopka Mayor John Land, who served his city for more than 60 years. And so this award is designed specifically for elected officials like Mayor Johnson, who have such dedicated years of service to their community. And that's what we're here to recognize and celebrate this evening. Do you want me to read the proclamation?
You can, yeah.
Is that okay? Okay. I'll read the proclamation. It says, whereas America's municipal governments have long relied upon the selfless leadership of their citizens for local self-government, and Florida's municipal governments share the time-honored role as the level of government closest to the people, and whereas this reliance places extraordinary responsibilities upon citizen legislators, our municipal elected officials, who make significant sacrifices of their time and energies on behalf of their citizenry, making this commitment a true labor of love. And whereas municipal leaders strive for excellence in the governance of their city, town, or village, and commit themselves to providing quality services, governing effectively, and working to improve the quality of life. And whereas several terms in office are a high compliment that voters give to an elected official, and with these years of experience comes a strengthening of wisdom, discernment, and strong leadership skills that bring tremendous values to the municipal governments of Florida. And whereas Rusty Johnson has held office in the city of Ocoee for 40 years and is recognized for this achievement. So on behalf of the Florida League of Cities, I want to say thank you for your municipal service and congratulations.
Thank you.
Should we move away? Yeah. Move away so he can.
I'll try to say loud enough where we can hear me without having to, I won't say it too long. I will say, don't worry, I won't be making 60. You gotta worry about it. My 60 will never happen. John Lennon's one of the better people you've ever run across, and one of the better people involved in politics that I ever run across. So I'd like to say that about him. He truly loved the city, which I do. Ocoee's been in my life since 1955. I came here in 1955 with my family, my mother and father, and we decided this was gonna be the place, and that's where I wanna be. I'm never gonna leave. I've devoted myself for about 40 years in Ocoee to be involved in the city. One of the main reasons was when I come home to the Army and decided I wanted to stay here and get involved. My wife and I, her father was a commissioner here back in the 50s. So my life is here. And I want to say that my granddaughter's here and my son's here. So when I take a picture, if it's okay with you, I'd like to have them come up. So my granddaughter got born way after I started. My son was a little fella when we started, and then my kids, I had 5 kids, and all the years that I've been involved in politics, when we first started, it was every 2 years, which really meant every year, because you had to start politicking the year after you got elected. So after that, we went to 3 years, and then went to 4 years, thank goodness. But it's been a pleasure. My life's gonna be the same when I'm done. I'll be living and coming around and still loving people. So that won't quit. But my life, I wouldn't want to ever go anywhere else except for to live. This is the place I want to be forever. And I'm glad my kids, I think I have around 8 of them living in Ocoee out of my grandkids and kids. 8 grandkids. 5 children, but 4 of them living, 3 of them living in Ocoee. So what I wanted to see our families be able to stay here and see what happens in Ocoee and live in this city and grow up here. All right, so that's it. All right, Mark, you up here. You-
Again, one of the first thing you presented.
Yes, yes.
Did you want one of your phone too?
Oh, yeah, sure.
You guys set up for me?
Here, I'll take it.
Okay. That way you don't have to pay for the prints from the company. I'm gonna slide you over a little more centered up with the.
More?
No, I send you up there.
Everybody stand up. Y'all guys get up, stand up back here.
One here, one here.
Yeah. Hey, where? Let everybody stand up back here.
Oh, you want to see. Can't trust Rosemary, she'll put rabbits behind you.
Yeah, he wants us to send you a picture.
Did Tim say something about me? Oh. I only heard.
Guess not.
We're good. Thank you again.
It's going, where's everybody else in the back? We should have. We were there.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, let's see, National Public Works Proclamation. Do we have that up here? Yeah. It'll be posted out front, so is anybody from the Public Works here?
Yes, Steve's in the back.
Here, we're gonna have Steve come up and always can read it. Public Works presentation.
Proclamation, whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainability and resilient communities and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the city of Ocoee. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, solid waste system, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. That's a lot, isn't it? And whereas It is the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in the city of Ocoee to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. Whereas whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Now therefore it be resolved that the City Commission of the City of Ocoee does hereby designate the week of May 17th to 23rd of 2026 as National Public Works Week. We urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contribution that they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing the quality of life for all. In witness thereof, our mayor has set his hand and caused the seal of the city of Ocoee, Florida to be assigned on this affixed on this 19th day of May, 2026 by our Mayor Johnson.
Come on down, Steve, and get a picture here. I don't have the frame one, but I'll let you hold that.
Oh, it's there. It's right
Oh,
there.
here it is, here, okay.
Do you have some other public works?
There you go.
I don't know if there's anyone else that wants to get up with us.
Anybody else in Public
Anybody-
Works here?
Anybody from Public Works that wants to come up? Poor Steve stands alone.
If we do everything right, nobody knows we exist.
Oh, come on.
I'm gonna have you shift a little more, Rosemary.
Okay, no, not you, Steve.
Just trying to keep that a little bit low. Mayor, if you can step over just there, I want to do 2 and 2.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
All righty, now for the good here, let's, Forest Lake Golf Course update, Parks and Leisure Services Director Johnson.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, Mark Johnson, Director of Parks and Leisure Services. I'm here tonight to give an update on Forest Lake Golf Course, something we took over about a year ago, working with a short-term operator. This PowerPoint is going to give you a few updates on some upgrades, improvements, and some financials that we have going on up there. So, first, we got some improvements coming up out to the golf course. Those familiar with that play golf, we have 57 new electric EasyGo golf carts that are coming out. And once they get out there, they will be supplied with a new GPS tracking system that will be state-of-the-art, and it will be a big upgrade to what the current system has. A little more on the golf carts. They're going to be quieter. They're electric, better seats, all the new stuff, phone ports. Everybody needs that now when they're out there, charge their phone when they're playing golf for 4 hours. On the new GPS system, Tag Marshall is the system that we're going to implement. It's just going to change the whole face of the game out there. The current system's more like a digital system. This is going to have so much more benefits to the players, from being able to message the players out there, hey, there's lightning in the area, get in, being able to order food ahead of time, that kind of stuff. We can also, we had that last bullet point, the geofencing. They have the ability to set certain areas of the course to where you can't drive the golf cart. If we're doing some work on an area, or some guys like to drive up close to the green, we can geofence that, where we can keep that area as as good as possible. We have some staff here today from the golf course. This is some of their first time going to a commission meeting. We got Michael Ross, golf director. We got Jeb Ebersol. He's over at Food and Beverage. Brett Harris, our turf guy out there. And we got Nick's here. He didn't put his name up here, but Nick Dunleavy, who works with Down to Earth. And actually we have Robert Utzi back here. He's been a consultant with us, helping us out with the golf course. Operations wise out there, it's a busy course. If you're out there on a Thursday at lunchtime, it's packed. I mean, parking lot's full. Generating some very good revenue out there with potential for more.
You forgot the, dining room manager.
No, I got it.
Did you say? Okay, I missed that, I'm sorry. I can't hear half the time.
Now we're working on, Michael in the shop are working on new events with the food and beverage Jeb. I'm bringing different ideas out to the course to bring more people out there. We got some demo days coming out with some of our vendors that are scheduled. We do have we're going to have a driving challenge, long drive. We'll have top tracers set up out there for like 3 days for people to come out there and enjoy that and see, try to hit as far as they can. On the turf side, we do have an airification that will be starting July 27th, and it'll run until about July 30th, the 31st. We have it set up. That course probably hasn't been airified in years. It's very compacted out there, so this is going to open up that grass and let it breathe a little bit, and you'll see the turf just take off once we do this. And in that same time, we'll be overhauling the pro shop, making that look a little more appeasing to the eyes, because the stuff that's been in there has been in there since, I think, 1994. So, as far as airification, a little bit more, like I just talked about that. During that time, the course will be closed, the restaurant, driving range, and the course, just for a few days, but it's much needed. And the week after that we do this, we'll be offering a 30% discount on the rates, because the course will be beat up a little bit. Those that play golf will know that means. So we'll give a 30% discount for the week following airification. Transferring to some programs that have been started out there since last year when we started, we took over First Tee of Central Florida. It's a program to get the youth involved into golf. They supply the clubs. It's free for the kids. It's a good way to get somebody that would never be able to have a chance to play golf as a youngster, a chance to play golf. And you can see the numbers there. They've only increased since last summer, and they will only get bigger. They actually have, they did an LPGA girls clinic out there. You can see the numbers, October 17, and then 20 this past March. There's also another program called the Mentor Mentee program. So it just lets a younger person get to play 9 holes with the actual golf pro. As far as maintenance out there, we're doing every day out there. We're doing something we did a nematode treatment last summer, get rid of those. We do some detail work besides just cutting the greens, cutting the fairways. People are out there getting the palm fronds cleaned up, because there's a lot of stuff that hasn't been done in a while. Trimming the palms. We had a tree company out there last week for 3 days doing some lifting of the trees, that kind of stuff. So the front entrance looks a lot better too if you go by there. We also are trying to get to where the sidewalks, make sure the carts are starting to use the sidewalks. Some of the stuff that brought the sidewalk was damaged, so we're trying to get that grass to grow back too. And we also are going to have some upgraded equipment out there for the turf. So that's going to be a big help. Just the maintenance, keeping the stuff we have now workable. Just, the cost is going to be a tremendous help to have brand new equipment to be able to take care of that golf course. See some pictures here of staff out there just trying to do just around the hole signs, that kind of stuff, just trying to make it look good, upgrade wherever we can. Food and beverage. Honestly, if you haven't been out there for lunch, it's a hidden gem. I mean, great price. I'm there like twice a week now. But they've extended the hours. The menu's gotten better. They started a grab and go. And I think last 6 weeks they said over 300 have just trying to make it easy for the golfers that are golfing Just come and get your food, go. That way we're not slowing the pace of play down out there, that kind of stuff. And that new GPS system, you'll be able to order your food ahead of time through the GPS system that we're gonna have. Financials, we have some monthly revenue from when last year we took over to March. You can see the numbers. The blue is your gross and the orange is your net. So if you add it all up, you have your gross revenue for those 11 months. Then our net, that's a pretty good chunk of change right there. And comparing to the previous 12 months before, so May of 24 to May of 25, we're about $400,000 more in that year, that 12-month span. So a lot of hard work's gone into that. Just creating a better environment out there, just, making golf great out there. That's it. Any questions? I'm here for.
Anybody got?
I have one question. When you said it aerates, are you chewing the grass up? I'm sorry, I also thought aerating was just spiking it, but
Yeah,
it's just spiking it?
spiking it.
Okay.
Well, there's different kinds,
The
but,
picture just looked like it was chewing the grass up.
well, it will look like that.
Okay.
But as soon as you clean it off, in a week later, it's gonna be
Oh, okay.
beautiful.
Well, I would say that I go up there quite a bit. The kitchen staff, everybody's doing a great job up there. Staff altogether is doing a great job. I noticed they all got the same, each one department's got a different color shirt. Well, you'll know who's working and who's not, which is great. I think you're doing a great job. I appreciate it. All right. Anybody else? Anybody from the golf course want to say anything? Feel free to. Okay. All right. Thanks, Mark. Staff reports.
Thank you, Mayor. I have one item. I'd like to ask City Attorney Geller, we need direction from the commission regarding the Ocoee Gateway versus City of Ocoee lawsuit.
Yes, Mayor and Commissioners, to give you a litigation update and ask you for some action at the end of this. On May 15, 2026, Ocoee Gateway filed an amended complaint against the City of Ocoee. It's case number 2026 CA 291-0. It's pending in the Orange County Circuit Court. The case involves a developer seeking a declaratory judgment to build an affordable housing project under the Florida Live Local Act on property adjacent to White Road and South Clark Road. The developer is seeking a judicial declaration that the property is eligible for the special benefits of the Live Local Act, and that the city must administratively approve of a development application without a public hearing before you. The city's position is that the project is not permissible under the development agreement governing the property. There's also an SB 180 claim, which we think is without merit. Among the changes from the original complaint, the amended complaint added the property owner, Lake Lotta Limited, as a co-plaintiff against the city. A responsive pleading is due in a week, May 26, 2026. Grounds for a countersuit may be available, and I'm asking you tonight for a motion and approval authorizing our law firm to consider, evaluate, and if deemed appropriate, to bring a counterclaim to enforce the development agreement governing the property.
You need a motion?
I do, please.
All right, Commissioners, you have any discussion?
I would minimize discussion.
Go ahead.
I'm willing to make that motion.
So
Move
if you're
forward.
okay. All right, go ahead and make the motion, I'll get a second.
I'd like to make the motion.
Here's the language.
I'm asking you to tonight, make a motion to approve an approval authorizing our law firm, Mr. Geller's law firm, to consider, evaluate, and if deemed appropriate, to bring a counterclaim to enforce a development agreement governing the property.
That's it.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson, here's a second.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Aller. Any more comments?
I got a comment before we vote.
Okay.
Just a question, rather. You mentioned Senate Bill 180.
Yes.
Okay, Senate Bill 180, has that been ratified as of yet? Or is it still is it still on the table to be ratified?
Senate Bill 180 was signed into law by the governor, and you may recall we had extensive proceedings with the Department of Economic Opportunity. I briefed the commission and the public on that on at least a couple occasions, and the administrative law judge said that the department did not have authority to issue the null and void letter. These litigants have a cause of action making the identical claim that our Vision 2045 is null and void ab initio. Never mind that we have an opt-out provision. It's a completely frivolous claim.
Okay, and I must have it mistaken, because there's a House Bill 180 that's on
I don't know
the
if
table
I
right now,
misspoke.
so I'm sorry.
Sure.
I got mixed up with the House
problem.
Bill. All right,
That it?
we voted, that's it.
Let's vote.
Yeah. Want to hand it back, please, Mr. Brown?
Motion carries unanimously with Commissioner Kennedy absent.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. You through, Craig?
Yes, sir, thank you.
All right. Dr. Jim Moyer, public comments.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Congratulations, Mayor Johnson. My name's Dr. Jim Moyer. I'm the elected Orange Soil and Water Conservation District 2 Supervisor, and my comments, as always, are mine alone and for District 2. On continuation of 2 weeks ago, my presentation, this is implementing D2, meaning District 2, and C3, you'll see in a moment, but waste not, want not. Okay, as I just mentioned, this is implementing D2 C3 Water Challenge. As a reminder, the C3 stands for 1, change, 2, conserve, and 3, clean. Now, why would you want to participate? Well, 1, the United States uses approximately twice the amount of water as the global per person average. And we use about the same as China and India, that are 4 times larger. So we're using twice what we should, they're using half the average. Florida, in Florida, we use more outdoor residential water than agricultural water use. And we're historically an agricultural state. And in Orange County, despite a lot of initiatives by the county and the municipality, including Ocoee, we use over twice the amount of global average water. And it's almost entirely due to outside irrigation. So I'm asking everyone to please consider, how do I waste water? How do I pollute our water bodies? Here in what's called waterUseItWisely.com has over 100 ways to conserve. Pick one, just one. The ever difficult thing for me is to get started. So please just pick one and get started towards conservation. And greencoast.org has 16 ways that you can reduce water pollution, including something as simple as picking up litter. Doesn't matter whose litter it is. Over 60% of water pollution in the United States comes from litter. So I encourage everyone to please take personal responsibility, create a new habit, make some changes, even if it's in a small way. Thank you for your time, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Dr. Moyer. Noreen Dorkin.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Noreen Dworkin, the Editor-in-Chief of Vox Populi. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Clerk. We are at the beginning of our 2-week spring into summer fundraiser, and I just wanted to borrow your platform for a moment. We need to raise $5,000, and we are giving away car magnets for anyone donating $25 or more. For those donating any amount, we are, you would automatically be entered into a drawing for a very special event coming up in the fall on October 7th at Winter Park Library. That's going to be an evening hosted by the Florida First Amendment Foundation, an evening with Scott Maxwell in conversation with Julie K. Brown, who is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist who broke the Jeffrey Epstein story for the Miami Herald. They're going to be talking about why that's still important. So the link to donate, if you are so inclined, is Vox Populi, voxpopuli.fundjournalism.org/donate. And thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you. All right, that's all the public comment forms I have. So we'll go to consent agenda. Commissioners,
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
motion made by Commissioner Forstner for the consent agenda. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Oliver seconded. Any more comments? Let's vote. Motion carries unanimously, Commissioner Kennedy absent. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask for about a two-minute changeover. I apologize. I've got to excuse myself. So I'm going
Rich.
Rich? Yeah. I'll drink. I have to, I can sign those tomorrow. That's gotta go. All right.
Bye.
Sorry about that.
No, thanks.
Mission District 1, and the request is relative to the 5-foot utility easements on the side yards of these 8 lots. This vacation should look familiar for everyone because last year, almost exactly on the day, the City Commission voted for approval of a partial vacation of this easement. And unfortunately, due to a miscommunication between the developer and their surveyor, the area that was to be vacated was incorrect. So this resolution, after staff spoke with the developer, is to fix that, that error. And in looking at the easement that was recorded with the plat, it was determined that this utility easement was not actually needed. As our regular process is, we sent new letters out to the standard list of utility providers, and we received no concerns or objections from all the applicable utility providers as well as our own utilities department. And this is just a example of the rest of the area that is to be vacated with this current resolution, where you see POB and that kind of bold area. That was what was previously vacated last year. The area highlighted in yellow is the area to be vacated this year. So with that in mind, staff recommends that the Honorable Mayor and City Commission adopt the proposed resolution to abandon and vacate the 5-foot utility easements for lots 1, 12, 13, 24, 25, 36, 37, and 48 of the Magnolia Reserve Townhome subdivision. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I will open up the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would care to speak to this? Not seeing any. I bring it back up to the dais. Commissioners, do you have any comments on this?
Is this a 5-foot utility easement due to another project, you need the additional easement for a different project?
No, Commissioner, this is just due to, the original vacate that came last year was due to the developer putting this easement within the plat that was recorded. And then during construction and permitting of the single-family home, or the townhomes that were there, it was determined that they wanted to actually put a walkway as well as part of the structural column for the home or the building in that easement. And as a policy, we don't typically allow structures or sidewalks or pathways in that
In
easement.
the easement? So this will allow them to add a walkway?
Yes, this will allow them to cleanly go in and have that walkway and the structural column in that easement area. And as I said, no utility company objected, and our own utilities department had no objections to this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the city attorney can
Would you like me to
read
read?
it?
Would you like me to read the resolution?
Yes, please.
A resolution of the City of Ocoee, Florida, abandoning and vacating the rear approximately 60 linear feet of the 5-foot utility easements located on lots 1, 12, 13, 24, 25, 36, 37, and 48 of the Magnolia Reserve Townhome subdivision, providing for recordation, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Wilson
I'll second it.
and seconded by Commissioner Oliver. Let's vote. Motion passes unanimously. Regular agenda, item 15, discussion and reappointment and appointment of members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Development Service Director-elect.
I was going to say, this is actually going to be handled by Ms. Parks, but I will be here to handle this. So yes, we are looking for, so the issue is, or does the Honorable Mayor and City Commission consider appointing Member Keller and Member Butler as regular members to the Planning and Zoning Commission, as requested by their initial 3 years terms. There's also an appointment of Mr. Fernandez as an alternative member, with these applications expiring in 2029. So staff recommends the Honorable Mayor and City Commission consider appointing Member Keller and Members Butler as regular members to Planning and Zoning Commission, as requested by their applications, and then for their initial 3-year term, and then appoint Mr. Fernandez as an alternative member with a term expiring in 2029. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Does the commission have any questions?
Just to clarify that Mr. Fernandez serves on code enforcement, so when the reading of this, he will have to give up one to go to the other. Just, that was a clarification on.
That is correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
No questions?
No?
I'll make a
I'll
motion to
need a
approve.
motion.
I'll make that motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Wilson makes the motion, approved and seconded by Commissioner Oliver. Let's vote. Next, 16, discussion of reappointment and appointment of regular members and alternate members to the Code Enforcement Board.
That'll be me. So we have 3 seats that are open for this board. One will be a reappointment. Member Warren Lewis submitted his application to be reappointed as a regular member. And we also received applications from Annette Brown and Roderick Wilson, and both of them are okay. We have 1 seat that is vacant. That term expires in June of 27, and another seat that is vacant, it's a full 3-year term. So we're requesting that the commission consider reappointing Warren Lewis for a full term of 3 years to expire in June of 2029, and appointing either Annette Brown or Roderick Wilson to either one of those vacant seats.
Would it be appointing both, or you said either, or is it, I'm sorry,
One to each seat. So one would be appointed to the vacant seat to fill a term, and the other would be appointed to complete a full term.
Will we have, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay. Will we be able to have quorum on that board with that current status?
Yes.
Okay, that's a concern. Thank you.
You'll still have 2 vacant alternate seats, but all of the member seats will be full.
But we have received no applications yet?
No.
No.
Okay, that answers my
That's,
question.
yeah. We need to go out there and kind of peddle that, I think.
Yeah, I passed out a couple of applications. They haven't turned them in yet, I guess.
It looks like every district is represented also.
Yes.
If I'm correct from reading
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no more questions, I need a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I guess I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Oliver, seconded
Excuse me.
by Commissioner
I'm sorry.
Wilson.
We have to say which person will be in each seat. Who will fill the vacant seat to complete the,
Full term.
who will do the full term and who will complete the term?
Which order did those applications come in?
That's,
Annette Brown first, and then we receive Roderick Wilson.
Well, you just answered the question for me.
that answers the question for me. That's what I would say.
It sounds good. Let's vote. Approved unanimously. Okay, item number 17, discussion and direction for funding emergency medical services with a dedicated EMS enterprise fund. Deputy Fire Chief Van Camp.
Mayor Pro Tem, I will, while they're getting set up, I will be happy to kind of prelude this. As everyone's aware, the state legislature is looking at some tax reforms that are going to impact revenues of all municipalities. So we have been looking at ways to reduce reliance on the general fund, of which a major portion of the revenues comes from ad valorem property taxes. One of these measures that's about to be presented to you is the conversion of our EMS transport services to an enterprise fund, which is a fund that has a special designation and must be self-sustaining by the fees that it collects. And so we are going to have Chief Van Camp kind of walk you through the analysis that we've done, and we're going to be recommending to you that we make our EMS transport an enterprise fund. This would result in no change to our outstanding ALS transport services that we have. We would remain an ALS transport entity, and we believe it would be a cost-saving measure to citizens. And so I'm going to turn it over to Chief Van Camp, if he's ready to go.
I am, but the computer is not.
This seems to be the flavor of the day.
I hit escape. Thank you, guys. So firefighters and computers do not mix, so I just want to apologize for that. So the fire chief was going to start this off, so I am going to rely on my notes until he comes back, and he may continue it from there. So good evening, Mayor, Commissioner, and City Administrators. Tonight, the fire department is presenting a strategic proposal that's designed to strengthen the emergency service delivery and improve long-term financial sustainability and reduce reliance on tax-supported funding sources to the establishment of an EMS enterprise fund. So this proposal is not about reducing the services to the community, but rather it's about modernizing how EMS services are funded and operationally structured in order to improve both the EMS transport operations and fire service suppression readiness. So the proposed model creates a dedicated EMS division funded primarily through EMS Generate revenue, while allowing firefighter paramedics to be reassigned back to fire suppression apparatus, ultimately supporting the staffing of 4 fire engines, 1 tower truck, and 2 ALS ambulances simultaneously. So let's talk about the strategic context. So the strategic environment surrounding local government funding is evolving rapidly. Everybody knows about the tax reform that's going on at the state level. The ongoing discussions related to property tax reform continue to create uncertainty regarding future municipal revenue streams. Historically, fire departments have relied heavily on property-based funding sources and fire fee assessments to support operations. At the same time, EMS demand continues to increase each year. Transport volumes, staffing demands, equipment costs, and operational expenditures continue to place increasing pressure on the fire department budget. So this proposal seeks to proactively address those challenges by diversifying the funding sources and aligning EMS operational costs directly with EMS generated revenue through an enterprise fund structure. By taking a proactive approach now, the city positions itself to better manage future financial uncertainty while continuing to enhance emergency services for the community. So, what key operational challenges are we currently facing? So, in addition to financial pressures, the department's also facing several operational challenges. The department's ISO class rating was impacted in part by the inability to simultaneously staff 4 fire engines and a tower truck. Beginning in June 1st, the department is anticipating to place the tower truck into service. However, due to current staffing limitations, that will reduce our total engines to 3 with 1 tower truck. Current staffing levels do not support simultaneous deployment of 4 engines, 1 tower, and 2 ALS ambulances at this time. So additionally, the current dual-role firefighter-paramedic model creates operational overlap between EMS transport responsibilities and fire suppression staffing needs. Recruitment and retention of dual-certified firefighter-paramedics also continues to become increasingly difficult across the industry, further impacting staffing stability and operational flexibility. This proposal attempts to strategically address both the staffing and financial challenges simultaneously. So for those that aren't familiar with it, myself included, what is an enterprise fund? Yes, sir. So an enterprise fund is a financial structure that's commonly utilized by governments for services that generate revenue through user fees or service-based billing. So under this model, EMS-generated revenues are dedicated specifically to support EMS operations, personnel, equipment, apparatus replacement, and related operational costs. So unlike the current structure where EMS expenses are incorporated into the fire department operating budget and supported largely through tax-based revenues, an enterprise fund creates a more transparent and self-supported operational model. It allows EMS costs and revenues to be more accurately tracked, measured, and scaled alongside future community growth. So what's our proposed solution? The proposed solution involves 4 primary operational components. First, the city would establish a dedicated EMS division staffed by single cert paramedics, also referred to as PMOs. Second, the EMS operations would transition into a self-supporting enterprise fund model, funded primarily through EMS-generated revenue. Third, firefighter paramedics currently assigned to the ambulance staffing would be reassigned back to fire suppression operations. Finally, this staffing alignment would allow the department to simultaneously support 4 fire engines, 1 tower truck, and 2 ALS ambulances. So this proposal does not reduce the EMS services of the fire department. Instead, it strategically aligns the staffing and funding structures to improve operational reliability and financial stability. So let's look at our current model versus what we're proposing. So this slide illustrates the structural differences between the current operational model and our proposed model. Under the current structure, the firefighter paramedics are assigned to EMS transport operations. EMS costs remain embedded within the fire department budget, and EMS demand frequently impacts the fire suppressant staffing availability. Additionally, because EMS costs remain tied to the fire department budget, the department remains heavily exposed to future tax revenue uncertainty. Under the proposed model, EMS transport operations are staffed by dedicated PMOs. EMS costs shift into the enterprise fund, supported through EMS revenues, and firefighter paramedics can remain assigned to fire suppression apparatus. This creates better alignment with service delivery and operational funding while reducing long-term pressures on tax-supported funding sources. So our recommended staffing model is proposed as part of this transition is intended to maintain current EMS transport services while simultaneously improving fire suppression. Under the proposed structure, the firefighter EMTs and firefighter paramedics would remain assigned to fire suppression apparatus, and those personnel would be utilized to restore staffing for the 4th fire engine, meeting industry standards and recommendations. The EMS division would be staffed by 12 full-time paramedic-only positions, along with up to 6 part-time PMOs. These 6 PMOs would be utilized on an as-needed basis to cover for overtime vacancies and things like that. This model allows EMS personnel to focus specifically on EMS transport operations while allowing suppression personnel to remain consistently assigned to suppression apparatus. The overall result is improved staffing stability across both divisions by providing suppression services as well as 2 paramedics to every ambulance, which right now we have an EMT and a paramedic. So again, as I just said, it enhances, one of the most important aspects of this proposal is that it enhances both the EMS side as well as the fire suppression side. On the EMS side, every ALS ambulance would be staffed with 2 paramedics, which improves the clinical capability of patient care and operational consistency. On the fire suppression side, the department would be able to simultaneously staff 4 engines and a tower truck, directly supporting ISO and accreditation staffing recommendations. The proposal also improves overall emergency response reliability by reducing staffing overlaps between our EMS transport operations and our fire suppression functions. Ultimately, this model strengthens operational readiness across the entire department. EMS receives a more focused transport workforce, while fire suppression receives more consistent apparatus staffing. So EMS revenue. So let's talk about our EMS revenue. So for fiscal year 2027, the total projected EMS revenue is estimated at approximately $3.7 million. This includes revenues from our transport billing for our PEMT and MCO reimbursement, which is a federal reimbursement program, as well as the Windermere EMS contract. So this slide demonstrates that the department has experienced a steady transport growth and revenue growth over the last several years. The projections shown here are very conservative and are based on a 2.5% increase in billable incidents, as well as a 3% increase in revenues that are collected. These projections demonstrate that EMS transport operations already generate significant revenue that are capable of supporting a dedicated EMS model. The revenue model is diversified, and what do I mean by that is it's not based solely on patient transport billing. Rather, it's also included with supplemental reimbursement programs and contract revenue to help stabilize the model and reduce reliance on any single source of revenue. So let's look at the cost comparison of the benefits and salaries of a dual certified firefighter paramedic versus a paramedic only. So under the current structure, the firefighter paramedics perform fire suppression, EMS transport, and rescue operations. This creates several high operational costs, including higher salaries, EMT and paramedic incentive pay, firefighter pension structures, school reimbursements, sponsorship costs, and overtime related to fire suppression staffing. The estimated personnel cost for the current model for the next fiscal year is going to be about $1.6 million. Under the proposed PMO model, single certified paramedics will perform EMS transport operations while firefighter paramedics remain assigned to suppression operations. This reduces several personnel-related operational costs, while also improving staffing alignment and operational efficiency. The estimated annual personnel cost under the PMO model is approximately $1.4 million. So the goal here is not just simply to use lower-cost employees. Our belief is that the PMO model allows the city to align EMS staffing and operational costs more directly with EMS transport services while improving fire suppression staffing. So let's look at our current budget. So this slide illustrates the projected fiscal impact of the fire department budget. So under the current model, the projected fiscal 26-27 fire department budget is approximately $18.3 million, with approximately $3.5 million associated with EMS operations under the current firefighter-based EMS structure. Under the proposed PMO Enterprise Fund model, EMS operational costs are reduced to approximately $2.6 million. This includes personnel costs, equipment costs, operational costs, and benefits. So this creates a projected general fund reduction of approximately $1.2 to $1.4 million. The adjusted projected fire department operational budget would decrease to approximately $16.99 million. So importantly, this proposal does not eliminate the EMS costs. It transitions the EMS from a tax-supported fire budget expense to a user-supported enterprise fund structure. So this shift is important because it creates the potential to reduce pressure on the fire fee for residents and businesses while maintaining and enhancing service levels. So let's look at our EMS revenues versus our costs now. So we just talked about earlier, our projected EMS revenues are estimated at approximately $3.7 million annually, while projected EMS operational costs utilizing the PMO model are estimated at approximately $2.6 million. So this creates an estimated positive operational margin of about $1.1 million the first year. Now, I do want to be very clear when I say we're not looking at this as a profit. It's more of an operational buffer that'll be used to cover unexpected overtime, capital items, unexpected expenses, and things like that. Now, this operational buffer at $1.1 million, we're anticipating is just going to be for the first fiscal year, the 26-27 fiscal year. This margin will probably decrease in future years as the fund will begin to contribute to the general fund administrative fee, as well as absorbing R&R and capital expenditures. That being said, though, we still believe that there will be a buffer, that the EMS system will provide operational flexibility. It'll allow reserve stability, capability, and long-term sustainability for EMS operations moving forward. So we believe that the EMS system is capable of functioning as a revenue-supported operational division. So what are the fiscal benefits? So the enterprise fund model creates several significant fiscal benefits for the city. These include reduced reliance on the general fund, potentially mitigating future fire increase fees, improving financial transparency, aligning EMS operational expenditures directly with EMS-generated revenue. The proposal also increases budget flexibility within the fire department's operating budget by allowing resources to be more strategically focused on suppression operations and emergency response readiness. So a dedicated EMS funding structure also makes it easier to demonstrate that the EMS revenues are restricted just to EMS operations, equipment capital replacement, and service improvements. Other benefits include more accurate EMS operating cost tracking, reduce long-term capital and apparatus costs, reduce firefighter-based EMS staffing costs, and lower long-term training and incentive expenditures. So the model may also reduce long-term costs associated to purchasing smaller ambulances and equipment rather than the large firefighter-specific equipment that we currently have to use. It may also reduce long-term fringe benefits and training-related costs associated with firefighter-based EMS staffing. And it also creates a scalable operational framework capable of adapting to future service demands and potential growth. Additionally, one thing I forgot to mention in the previous slide, the enterprise fund structure may also improve competitiveness for EMS-related grants. Oops. Chief, would you like to?
Good evening, Commission. Apologize for that. I was supposed to actually start the first part of this, and Chief Van Camp was going to do the financial part, and then I was going to bring it home here. So let me go ahead and, Chief Van Camp, from what I've heard so far, he's done a tremendous job of explaining this process here. Again, we don't want to come across that we've got the fix-all to everything, and it's going to make all this money, and we're going to just be rolling in money here in Ocoee. No, we're challenged with a task to try to better utilize our current budget for better services, and that's what we've come up with this EMS Enterprise Fund. So as Chief Van Camp mentioned, it'll enhance our EMS service delivery through our dedicated paramedic staffs. Right now, we have generally our staffing only allows for one paramedic and one firefighter that are on our rescues. Sometime if staffing allows, we will have double medics, but for the majority of the time, it's one paramedic and one EMT. But with this model, we will have, each time that rescue will have 2 certified paramedics on it with this model. At the same time, it improves our fire suppression apparatus availability by allowing us to meet industry standards and ISO standards and accreditation recommendations by having that 4th engine in service. ISO requires that you have an engine suppression unit at all 4 of our stations, along with at least 1 tower for our city and our population and our growth that we've had here. As Chief Van Camp mentioned, this will expand our recruitment and our hiring pool. Hiring single cert paramedics. We'll already have several contacts at some of the local colleges and tech schools where we can meet with these paramedics before they even get out of school and start interviewing them and get them ready for the position. Some people just love being paramedics. Not everybody wants to be a firefighter, so we get those people that truly love doing what they're doing and want to be paramedics, and there's nothing wrong with that, and we get to utilize their skills in our strategic plan here. It'll improve our workload balance by having our firefighters available for our fire calls or emergency response calls. A lot of times now, with the model that we have, our ambulances, they run a lot of calls every day. So our ambulance crew that have certified firefighters on that are not available because they're running EMS calls. Well, now all of our dedicated firefighters that we have will be available for all our emergency calls, and will be ready to respond quickly. And this also improves their training capabilities. They will be able to train with their crews on a regular basis. They're not taken away and running calls, EMS calls all the time and being stuck at the hospitals. They're able to maintain their training and their stability with their crews. And the EMS side of it helps us to be more specialized in our EMS workforce. We can specialize in advanced cares, more operation efficiencies and patient care outcomes. It's also going to reduce our staff out of service time. Like I said, during training times, we have to put units out of service for mandatory training, and this will allow us to continue to have the ambulances in ready status while the crews are doing their training, and vice versa. While the crews are doing their training, we continue to have our paramedics ready and doing their training as well. Strengthens our staff and reliability during during elevated call times. So during any time of emergency activation, we've got peak units available. It also helps on reducing our mutual aid reliability, which I think is a big thing. We'll be able to handle all of our calls with all of our people instead of relying on outside sources to come into the city and run our calls. And then in the long run, it gives us that financial oversight. We can have a financial budget, a plan, a business plan. How are we going to utilize this enterprise fund? And I think as a business person, by utilizing the revenues that we gain for future purchases, future capital items, future expansion as the city continues to grow. The impact of the city's citizens, it enhances the current service level, as we've mentioned, faster, reliable suppression units as well, greater transparency because we've got all of our books, so we've got our numbers, our EMS division is being funded through its own efforts, positions the city in a more effective, accommodating manner for population growth and increased call volumes in the future. It improves our operational readiness and response capacity during large-scale events, which I just mentioned, and severe weather events, which, you know, summertime's coming. We're going to get this is going to be a year with a lot of violent thunderstorms, means lightning, and we'll have the extra units there ready to respond readily. And then supports, again, long-term sustainability, reliability, and helps us to move our fire and EMS services to the community as a whole. What we're asking for tonight is for the city council to approve our ordinance, approve us to come back with an ordinance establishing the EMS division and EMS enterprise fund. The next phase would be to establish this enterprise fund and finalize our financial model to separate fire and enterprise EMS funds. And then next step would be to hire, train, and deploy the PMOs on a 24/48 schedule and up to 6 part-time PMOs as well. They will not be on shift, but they'll be on a standby unit to help us out with call-outs, vacations, anytime that we may need staffing to help us to reduce our overtime. And then track any key performance indicators, our cost recovery, transport volumes, and budget impact so we can make this thing grow and be prosperous in the future. Conclusion, this proposal doesn't reduce our level of service. Our engines would still be ALS engines. We'll have paramedics on our engines as well. So they'll be the first responder there to any scene and have advanced life care available with that first arriving unit, and then we'll have our ambulances to do the transport. Transition EMS to revenue-supported enterprise service model reduces our financial pressure on the fire operating budget, enhances patient care and EMS response capabilities by having the 2 paramedic ambulance units, and strengthens our fire suppression readiness throughout the continued staffing of 4 engine companies and a fully staffed tower truck. And again, establishes our scalable financial stability, sustainability, operational framework, and help us to plan and move forward for future community growth and future emergency response demands. So our recommendation is just to have the City Commission direct staff to return with an ordinance for the first and second reading, establish an EMS division and EMS enterprise fund, and to include the EMS division and enterprise fund in the proposed fiscal year 26-27 budget, as well as the authorization to add the 12 full-time paramedics and up to 6 part-time paramedics to support the staffing for that same 26-27 budget. And we are available for any questions.
Does the commission have any questions of the fire chief?
I was kind of hoping that you might have some questions because this is right up your alley.
I have a question for the city manager. Does the enterprise fund allow surplus monies or at the end of the budget year to be rolled over into the next budget year? Or does
Yes, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked that for the benefit of those here. Yes, so if we work, and these numbers are very conservative because, as we're all aware, we tend to get burned when we go off actual models. So these are scaled back numbers from what we originally modeled. But if it does prove to actually create additional revenue that is not expended, it would be placed into a reserve, just like we do with our other enterprises. For example, utilities, they maintain a reserve, and that's actually the way it works. We would possibly also, if it got very healthy, there are other opportunities that the chief didn't really get into a lot of detail on, but the opportunities will possibly present themselves for us to have contracts with ALFs and entities like that to provide transport services for them that could bring in some additional revenue. If we got into a good net positive situation, we would be creating a reserve for the enterprise itself, and then we'd charge an administrative fee from the general fund, and so we would collect some of that as well.
Okay. Do you know of any other departments in the area that have gone this route with the enterprise fund for EMS?
It's fairly new, but there are some in the area. Orlando's been doing it for a little bit. Lake County just recently went toward this, but they used to do their EMS through their county EMS as well, but when they merged with the fire department, it became their enterprise fund there. I think there's some other departments down south.
I apologize, Chief, for interrupting. So they go with the paramedic-only model.
Right.
They don't necessarily utilize an enterprise fund. Our research has shown mostly South Florida departments have gone through an enterprise fund.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I apologize.
Yeah.
How long would it take you to transition to this model?
We would hope, if this went into effect on October 1st, that by the first of the year we'd be ready. We'll bring on, initially we would bring on half the paramedics to begin with to get them trained. They have, of course, be precepted by our current staff to be ready to be a part of us. And then once they're trained and ready, we can bring on the other half, and we'll have those people, the new hires that we just got, train the next new hires and move on from there. But yeah,
Okay, and I
hopefully.
take it we would use our current apparatus until
Yes, sir.
they're ready to be replaced, and then you would go to a lesser model?
Yes, sir.
than
We've
the-
actually got 2 new ambulances that are on the way to us right now. So that was one of the things that we did not have to factor in initially as one of the costs that would affect us in this enterprise fund. But that would be something we would have to look
And they're
forward to.
ambulances, not rescue type?
Yeah, we can
vehicles?
get the smaller ambulances. Of course, as you know, we won't need to have all the compartments that we have on the
Right.
ones now. We don't have to have, all the firefighting equipment that
Mm-hmm.
we normally keep on the ambulances. So we could get a much smaller scaled down version for transports only. Yes, sir.
Okay, and when the plan is in effect, I take it that moving the current firefighter paramedics back to the fire department, let's
Yes.
say, is going to help you with your minimum manning requirements on all the engines?
Yes, we'll be able to
Will it
keep.
actually reduce some of the overtime replacement that you have to maintain that?
Absolutely, and as you probably know, this would be a great selling feature for our department by having this model that we're presenting here, to have the outside, have the separate divisions there that do the transports so that they can focus mainly on their firefighting operations.
Okay, very interesting, very interesting. Well done, nice presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioners, do you have any questions?
I have one question. While we're, sounds like we have to hire about 18 EMT staff members, total 12 full-time, 6 part-time. While we're making that transition, does this enterprise fund structure have the ability to hire subcontractors to fill those gaps or voids until we're fully manned?
I think the best benefit would be to be aggressive on getting the staffing that we're going to stick with initially. That's why we don't have that administrative fee in the first year. And we talked to the city manager about that because we do need a little buffer on getting that transition of getting new hires in here. So we would utilize our current staff for ambulance, for our rescues until we've got our staffing ready. And then at that point, we would make the changeover. We've got the engine in service. We've got all our personnel ready to make it go at one time.
So there's a possibility of we have to absorb some of the overtime costs until we actually.
Initially, it would be
until we
a
come up to speed with all 18 trained, single certified personnel.
absolutely, yes. And it may. I mean, we're pretty good on staffing right now, and there might not be much of an overtime need at the initial part of it if we put it all out at one time there, if we wait till we're ready. Go.
Further to your question, Commissioner Oliver, I actually asked them about private providers, and, we had a run with private providers previously, and one of the things we noticed was the response times were getting longer and longer and longer. And so I think the model that we're proposing with this is going to allow us to maintain our current level of service without having to get involved with that.
One last question. Does it affect the ISO rating at all?
Absolutely, yes. By getting the tower, that was one of their recommendations. However, their model for an ISO 1 is to have the engine at all four stations and the tower. We will have to, once we put this model into place, we'll have to run, 9 months maybe? We'll have to run some data so that we show our times with the tower coming to the fire calls, because right now we're waiting on, an outside agency to come in, and of course, those times are not matching what we need to have for ISO. So yes, bottom line is once that format is put into place and we run a little bit of data, yes, they said call them, they'll come right back out, do a new evaluation, and we should be able to restore where we were before. And also, during our accreditation interview 4 years ago, that was one of the recommendations they left as well, and they'll be back next year, so.
Okay. You good?
Good.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion made by,
I'm sorry. This motion that we're making a motion for them to come back with additional information, that we would create an ordinance, right? To create an ordinance,
yes.
to go to this enterprise.
What we're asking for is
structure.
or go ahead. Go ahead.
No.
Okay.
Feel free.
What we're asking for is for the motion to go ahead and create the ordinance to present on future agendas for the first and second reading, and for us to establish this EMS division and EMS enterprise fund along with the 12 full-time paramedics and 6 part-timers.
So we're making, is to bring back the ordinance.
Yeah, bring back the
That's
ordinance,
what my
okay.
understanding was before we
Correct.
Okay.
made the motion. Yeah.
Right, well, I'll make the motion to approve that we bring back a ordinance, first and second reading, establish the EMS division and EMS enterprise fund, to include the EMS division and enterprise fund in the proposed fiscal year 26-27 budget.
And I'll second that.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Oliver, seconded by Commissioner Wilson. No more questions? Let's vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay. That brings us down to the last item on the regular agenda, which is presentation on the City of Ocoee Fire Service Assessment Fee Program to include a revised methodology and set June 16th, 2026 as the hearing date to adopt the initial assessment resolution for fiscal year 26-27. Assistant City Manager Rumor.
Thank you. I'm going to be going over the Fire Service Assessment Fee Program. I am not a firefighter, but I can say I've stayed in the Holiday Inn Express and I sat through an EMS presentation, so I'm hoping that you can help me here. So, back at May 20th of last year, this time last year, the City Commission voted 4-0 to approve the revised fire assessment fee, increasing the rate from $69.50 per fire protection unit to $139.23 per fire protection unit. This is based off a methodology that has a tier system, and so the $139 per unit, and then each by square footage and size and type, you have different tiers. So a single-family home might be rated as a 1 all the way up to a 4, and that fee would be assessed. The commission also tasked staff with providing a fee that covered 100% of the accessible fire department cost, and to look at a methodology that lessened the burden on single-family residential parcels. So task one, what would it take to cover 100% of the accessible fire department costs? Under the current methodology, that would require a per fire unit rate of $386.75. You can see from the table that would charge citizens, residents, between $380 to $713 in order to meet that obligation. Presently, we're at $139.23. So I would surmise that going a fee that covered 100% is not in the realm of a possibility. Task two was look at lessening the burden on single-family residential parcels. So we contracted with Answer Advisory, and who provided the study for our existing methodology. And we said, let's look at a couple of highly defendable and equitable methodologies that have been successful around the state and see if they provide for a less burdensome fee on residential. So we looked at hazardous class, which is our current. We looked at the historical demand and a demand and availability model. Now, real quickly, we established since 2013. With this rate, this fire protection unit rate, which is not flat, it generates $4.4 million in revenue, covers approximately 36% of the accessible fire department, not all of the fire department budget, which was...
Explain that, the accessible versus non-accessible.
Items such as EMS are not an accessible value for fire service protection fees. We have, so when we went back and looked, 91% of our citizens with their household size paid between $205 and $342. And the way the tiered system worked, it really favored non-residential uses. For instance, and I'll show you, multifamily paid a really reduced rate. 320-unit multifamily apartment paid $8,000. So we wanted to look at a methodology that provided a shift in the burden from residential to the non-residential. This bar graph provides what the budget, the red line is the budget over 5 years. You'll see that it continues to grow. And the blue line is the current revenue that the fire department would receive, which will be via our current fire assessment fee, our contract with Windermere, fire inspections, and fire plan review fee. What we are tasked with in these uncertain times with what they're looking at with property taxes is from the end of the blue line to the end of the red line will have to be covered by general fund dollars. And you can see with our revenues what area we're able to make up. This is just a pie chart showing those revenues, and the fire assessment fee is the largest at 4.4 million, and those other revenues make up the 8 million, the 5.4 million I showed here. Now, we heard last year at this time when we gave our fire assessment presentation, some members in the audience asked questions like, what are we covering with, what are these fire expenditures? How are we keeping the fire assessment fee with the fire department? So these are just some, not an exhaustive list, but things that are covered under that accessible budget. So looking at methodologies, we're currently under hazard class, and we looked at historical and demand availability. What I'm trying to show with this graph is that under the existing fire service methodology in the budget, the accessible budget of 12.5 million, for apples and apples comparison, we're looking, you see that in both these methodologies provide a flat rate. That's very important. Our current hazardous class methodology has a tiered rate and has units. So the 139.23 is multiplied by 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 8. For the residential, it would be 1 flat unit. And we looked at how we can shift some of the burden, as you tasked us with, to the commercial, industrial. Institutional, a lot of the institutional would be city offices and not-for-profits, and they would not be assigned a fire fee. But we found that the optimum methodology that we think is the best defendable and really provides across-the-board fairness is the demand and availability model. Under this model, for instance, those apartments I showed you, they would get about an increase of $22,000 to $55,000 in their fire assessment fee, just as an example. Considerations we've got to make. We're going to ask two things of this commission tonight. We're going to ask you to allow us to come back with a resolution to look at the demand availability model, and we're going to ask you for an assessment rate. We've got to take under consideration property taxes. What we know as of today is what's been in the news. We know there's been talk about the legislature taking an action increasing the homestead exemption by $100,000. If you look at this slide, we accumulate over $25 million from ad valorem property taxes. If they were to add another $100,000 to the exemption, we would have a $2.5 million reduction. And if they phase it or go to $300,000 in a homestead exemption, we are looking at a $9 million. Of course, we have...
Mike, let me just butt in real quick for the benefit of the members of the audience. What we're hearing now is the governor is going to call a special session the first week of August, and they're going to discuss the tax reforms. And we are not sure what they're going to do. The two things on the slide here are within the legislative power of the legislature to do. There has also been talk of putting something on the ballot, which we know will most likely pass if it goes on the ballot. So we're playing a game of unknowns right now, and we're trying to do a lot of things, and you'll see things as we advance towards the budget workshops that we're trying to streamline as much as we can. But it's important to note that we could be facing some significant reductions in the revenues that we use to provide city services. Keep going.
Okay. And with that introduction, if you look at how all of the general fund tax revenue we get from franchise fee, property tax, utility tax, gas tax, that is $77 million, of which we spend $39 million on police and fire. The debt and the CRA transfers, that's our TIF money that we have to send from the district to the CRA district. And that leaves us with $35 million in operating budget. Well, if you fully eliminate the homestead exemption, I'm sorry, if homesteaded properties paying property taxes, that would be a $10 million hit. So we have some planning to do. Looking at fire fees, before we get to the rate, and we want to look around the surrounding neighborhoods, surrounding cities, and you see that based off size of cities and the like, that there are fees that go from the hundreds to the 300. Winter Garden attempted to do a fire assessment fee last year and did not. And this year they're looking at a millage rate increase and with supplementation from reserves. So there are municipalities and towns that have fire fees that are comparable to what we have and what we're looking at, what I'm going to propose to you. Orange County. Orange County has the benefit of applying a fire service millage to your ad valorem taxes. The cities do not have that luxury. This is just one parcel. It's assessed at $156,000 just to show what an unincorporated Orange County resident is paying for their fire service. And you will see down on the bottom right, they pay $299. I would surmise that many of this is not the median. This is a little low, so a lot of the Orange County residents are paying over $300 a year in fire service. And again, as we get over to the rate structure, we've got to fill that gap between the blue and red with general funds. We don't know what's going to come out of this legislature with property tax exemption and property tax reform. And this is really where the fire fee is an equitable way to evenly pay fair share that will not change based off value. So we're recommending using the demand analysis methodology. We feel this methodology provides the best benefit for lessening the burden on residential. It comparatively brings the commercial and industrial up to a more fair share rate. But what we've got to now decide is what rate do we want to charge the citizens, the residents of the city?
Let me butt in. Okay, I think it's really important for everyone to know that whatever the rate is, it's not going to cover 100%. It's not even going to get close to covering 100% of our projected fire budget, okay? So there's still going to be room that has to be made up with tax revenue. And I also want to remind everyone, as you could see from Mike's charts that he presented, that we're chasing a moving number. The cost of the fire department continue to go up, and it's not within our control. You have personnel costs that are going up. We have to be able to recruit and be competitive. The commission approved a new contract for the IAFF tonight, and that's in order to keep us competitive. And we also have extreme rising of pricing for equipment. We're required to have a polyfluoral alkyl substance-free set of bunker gear now. That has resulted in exorbitant increases in the cost of just the basic equipment, life packs. We approved an item not long ago expending something like $600,000 for new life packs. Radios, we're at like $20,000 a radio. A fire truck, it's my favorite example. 6-7 years ago, a fire engine was about $680,000. It's $1.7 million now, and going up because there's not enough players in the market that build fire trucks, and they're able to continue to go up. It's a complete captive market. So I want to make sure everyone understands, and we'll be doing additional education as we get closer to budget. But we're chasing a moving number that's getting bigger year in, year out. The projections Mike showed was real. It's based on real costs. But the fire department budget is going to be going up roughly $2 million a year. And there's nothing we can do about that because when it comes to life-saving measures, you've got to have the right equipment. You've got to have everything that they need to provide the level of service they provide. So this exercise with the fire assessment, we've gone to great detail and length to try to bring down the reliance on residences, single-family residences in particular. Mike didn't point out, but we're including apartment complexes under non-residential or commercial uses. But under our old methodology, if we were to propose an increase, everybody's paying way more. And, under the new methodology, they're going to pay a little more, but what Mike's going to propose in a moment here is something that would sustain us for a little while. So we don't have to come back every year.
Now, I'm saying all this without knowing what the legislature's going to do. That's going to cause additional decision-making depending on what that looks like. We showed some what-if scenarios. And so we're going to have a very vivid, lively, and interesting budget season as we get into the workshops and the hearings. Mike?
Yeah, so going back to last year, you adopted a revised fee just for 1 year and asked us to come back. So we're coming back. As you can see, another part of this analysis is we did a new projection of the 5-year budget, and it went from 12.5, 14 million to a budget of 28 million in 2031. And with the methodology, so we really need to look at increasing our fire service fee revenue from 4.4 million. We need to raise that revenue. And under a rate of 40%, which I'll show you here in a little bit, this is really what it would bring us with that increased revenue. And it would maintain the residents that pay between $205 and $342, the 91% of those single-family homes in the city, it would be pretty close to what they're paying now. So as a recap, fire fees are currently funding 36%, generating 4.4 million. We've explored new, highly defendable and equitable methodologies to provide increase in revenue and lessen the burden on single-family homes. And this new methodology is a flat fee. You just pay that amount. It's not based off square footage. There's not a tier. You don't have to worry about moving up, adding on. And we have looked at various rates and funding mechanisms. So tonight, with the first asking to go ahead with the demand availability model, we're going to request to look at a rate of 40%, which would generate an additional $3.5 million. Now, where do we go from here? Because we are proposing a new methodology, this is just a regular item. We're going to have to bring back an initial assessment resolution in a regular item hearing, and then we'll have a final adoption budget in July. So there's 2 more times we'll be coming back before you.
What are the notification requirements?
Yes. So June 16th, we will have the initial resolution hearing in front of you as a regular item, go over much of the same information. You adopt the rate. We then work with our contracted answer and have to mail out to every property owner, just as we did last year, the proposed trim rate for fire service assessment fee. We mail that out to every property owner, and then we hold a public hearing in July at a specially called meeting and have the public hearing item and adopt that rate resolution to be able to make it on the trim and the tax bill. We're asking you to consider the 40% rate. That would apply a flat fee to the single-family homes of $341.24. I would surmise a lot less than many Orange County unincorporated residents are paying. And with that, I will entertain any questions.
Mike, I wanted to make one more thing, one more statement. A fire fee is more equitable to all property owners. There are a number of property owners that have so many exemptions that they barely pay anything, and everybody would be paying their share of the fire service. If we are not, and I think we've done a pretty adequate job of explaining how our costs are going up, and we have great potential for a reduction in revenue this year, we're going to have to come up with the money somewhere. Now, we're making cuts. We're going to be proposing additional cuts. But at the end of the day, they're not going to be enough. So we either make it up in an assessment, which is to every property owner, or we increase the millage rate. And we're not recommending a millage rate increase tonight because we believe we can buy some additional time
with what we're proposing. Does this solve the problem forever? No. This is a moving target, and this is something that didn't come out of the discussion last year enough, in my opinion. This is a moving target. The cost of the fire department will continue to go up, and we've demonstrated that. So whatever we're generating, it's going to have to be looked at eventually. We think this buys us some time, but we don't know what is going to really happen in August. So we may have to take additional actions. But we're doing the best we can. I can tell you that my colleagues statewide are deep into shuffling and trying to streamline right now, because we've made numerous proposals to the legislature, including the House Select Committee on Tax Reform, and they've fallen on deaf ears. There are a number of ways that they could raise supplemental revenue to offset the impacts to local governments. But with it being a closed economic system, when you take away from one area, you've got to make it up everywhere else. And that's kind of what we're faced with.
Yeah, just again, don't want you to fixate on the rate of 40%. We're looking at the rate that we would be charging the single-family home of $341.24 per household. This would come back to you 2 more times. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Carolina Vaca, Stephen Weber, and Sandy, our consultant, with helping put all this information together. It's a mountain of information, and Craig was instrumental in kind of helping steer it straight. So thank you. Available for any questions.
Okay.
And you're just authorizing us to come back with initial rate resolution June 16th, which would provide for this new methodology and then a rate.
And I am not holding you hostage here, but if we do not do this, I will be proposing a millage rate increase with the proposed budget.
Okay, do you have any questions? Commissioner Wilson?
No, I just know that we're entering a very scary time at this point, knowing that what's going to happen in the coming months with with this tax reform. When we were in Tallahassee, the legislators we spoke to, were not interested. Well, that may change. And when the vote comes down, we just don't know what's going to happen. And it's a scary time for us as commissioners and for the city to what we project is going to happen. So we're going to have to pay for the services. We know that. We have no choice. We want our fire, we want our police, we want all the city services that we have here, and we do not want to see a reduction in that. So again, we as residents are going to have to realize that we're going to pay for some of these things. Not that we have to realize, we have to pay for them.
When we do the mailing, we do set up a phone line and provide that information, and we receive a number of phone calls, and we educate them and answer questions. So we do provide that opportunity.
At all?
That's it, thank you.
Commissioner Alber?
Okay, you mentioned this is, this particular methodology will allow us to be sustainable over several years. How many years would that be? Using this methodology and looking at this fee that's being proposed with this methodology, and last year we went up 100% to the current rate at $139.23. And that only sustained us for 1 year to bring back another proposal, which according to the chart, it still wasn't enough. So we had to cover the rest of it from our general fund, or that's what we proposed from last year. This year, we're looking at about 34% increase using this methodology, right?
But recall, if you look at my chart, it's per unit under the current methodology. So you have 3 units, you're paying the $139.23 3 times. And so it's not across the board. Yes, so you can see this is what the factor from that is just below the unit is because of the discount for those institutional. But yeah, that blue is where 91% of the residents are actually paying. That's their fire fee. Because under the current methodology, it's not a flat rate. Our new methodology, the demand availability, it would be a flat rate.
Based on square footage, that's in the blue, I see.
Yeah, new methodology
The rates are
doesn't take
based on
square footage.
So that's
Yes.
why we have the range.
Yes.
Okay. Even looking at it on the top tier, it's still going 84% at the top tier. And I understand everybody's not going to pay that because, you know, it's based on the square footage.
Well, the new methodology is a flat rate for single-family residential. So some of them would go down from what they're paying, like the people that were on the chart Mike just showed, who are paying $616, they're gonna go down, okay? Because it's a flat rate to everyone, okay? And there's pros and cons to that, but this methodology is the one of least impact that we could come up with that was legally defensible. And we didn't mention earlier, but the law firm of Neighbors, Giblin and Nickerson has been intimately involved in this process because we don't want to put anything out there that's challengeable. What I was also going to say is, you know, again, we're always going to be supplementing from general fund because we're never going to be able to use a fire assessment to pay 100% of the cost. It's going to become too cost prohibitive. And that's why, you know, a millage rate like the county is able to assess is so much better because they generate almost what the proposed assessable budget for the fire department is for county residents. You know, if you applied that 2.84 mils to the city's tax base, you would generate almost enough money to cover our entire assessable budget. But we can't do it that way. And, you know, I went off on a long diatribe about that last year during the budget because, you know, the county levies 4.43 mils to every citizen, and that is supposed to go to pay our proportionate share of animal control, mosquito control, and the constitutional offices, okay? But we're providing all the services, and that's something that, you know, we value our relationship with the county, but, you know, in my honest opinion, the tax reform should have focused on looking at the delta between what counties are able to levy in taxes within full-service municipalities. And it's just been this across the board with no hope of replacement revenue. And so it forces us into a box like we're currently in. But this is, an assessment buys us about 5 years if you go at the 40% rate that we're proposing. And that's making a lot of assumptions because we still don't know what is going to happen in August. Really, all we're able to tell you is that, you know, this buys you time in a vacuum without knowing what the other impacts are. And, you know, we will have some strategies to try to make up the ground that we're going to lose. But, you know, I'm going to reserve judgment until we know what that actually looks like in August before we tell you what the recipe is going to be to try to bake the cake.
Just a couple things. With that being said, I think that one of the most important things to look at here is how do we educate the public in a manner that they truly understand what we face when it comes to property tax reform and this moving target that we've been chasing for some time now. And just looking at it at the top tier at 84%, it is about $28. And see, I'd like to make it plain. It's $28 a month is what it equates to. So I think that it's important that we educate as many folks as we can in a plain language as to what it means to them, but also at the 30,000-foot overview, what does it mean to us when it comes to chasing that moving target. So I have no problem with, with this methodology that you want to bring back, because it also gives me the opportunity to hear from the mayor who's not here. It gives me the opportunity to hear from District 1 Commissioner who's not here. And I want to be able to take all this into consideration before making any final decisions.
If I may, Mayor Pro Tem, respond. I'm glad you mentioned that, Commissioner Oliver, because, we are planning to do education this year in advance of the budget workshops. We're working with a public relations consultant, as a matter of fact. The first level of this approach was the community survey that we have on our website, that we've had QR codes at some of our city events. To date, we've only had about 500 responses. Most of them overwhelmingly picked police and fire as their most important city service that we provide. Okay?
I took that survey.
We are, and if you haven't and you're in the audience, I'm encouraging you to do so. But what we're all being forced into with this new era of fiscal reform is to help educate the citizens on what costs look like for all the services we provide, and help them identify what's most important, because at some point, we're going to be having to cut back. And that education is going to be vital, because we all want everything, and we don't want to pay as much as it costs sometimes to have it. And so that's going to be valuable information for the elected officials as well as our staff here as we work to try to navigate this.
I don't have more questions.
Okay, if there's no more questions, I'll need a motion.
What do we need the motion to say exactly, that we, to bring this back? I mean, what's the term, what's the?
Utilize the demand availability methodology and set the rate at
40%?
40%, covering 40% of the budget.
And this is what will be brought back to us.
In a form of a resolution.
Resolution.
It'll be an initial resolution that you will adopt, and then we take that rate that you adopt, and then we have to put it in a mailer and mail all the property owners.
Okay, I'm going to read into the record, if you don't mind, the recommendation from the staff report.
Hold on. Okay, wait a minute. We're not adopting a resolution tonight.
Correct.
We're only proposing that you bring back, that you bring back a proposed resolution.
Yes.
Using
Yes.
this methodology.
Yes,
Okay.
you're authorizing
All right.
us to
If it
do
would
that.
help you for motion purposes, staff recommends the Honorable Mayor and City Commission authorize staff to update the city's existing fire services special assessment program to fund accessible costs associated with providing fire services, and set June 16th, 2026 as the hearing date to adopt the initial assessment resolution.
I will make that motion.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Wilson
I'll second it.
and seconded by Commissioner Oliver. Let's
Can I just
vote.
say something at this point? I don't know if this really adds to it, but I'm just looked at my property tax assessment, and I paid $344.42 to have my garbage picked up, which is very important.
And it's going up.
But I'm just saying, and we're looking at $341.24 for me to have for our fire service. And I look at that and I think that, yes, my trash pickup is very important, but also safety is very important. And there's not that much difference between the two of them that we're looking at. I mean, I understand my taxes, I'm looking at it that we're 4.9, give me the numbers, our millage rate is 4.9.
4.95.
9.5, isn't it funny, I go to sleep thinking about that. But I'm looking at the aspect that I pay the county 24% of my taxes. I pay them 4.4, and I'm looking at ours. And I'm just thinking that when you were talking about this in the whole scheme of things, I'm paying basically for my safety what I'm paying my trash. I mean, it's the way it looks. And I'm just looking at my tax bill here. That's why I was doing, I'm sorry if I was doing this while we were talking, but I never really thought about the $344 as my trash pickup versus $341 for my safety. So, sorry, just want to throw that in.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. So you're so directed to bring that back to us.
Thank you.
Okay, comments from commissioners. Commissioner Wilson.
I don't have anything, but I know the mayor usually has a piece of paper there to see if, for something for you to read. Not that I'm trying to take over here, but he usually has announcements.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Mayor's announcements.
Mayor's announcement.
Community survey. The city of Ocoee wants to hear from you. Share your thoughts about city services, community priorities. Your voice matters. Visit ocoee.org to take the survey. The Aquatic Center is now open. The pool at the Jim Beach Recreation Center is now open for the season. The cost is $2 for adults and $1 for children and seniors. May events, Memorial Day ceremony, happening on Thursday, May 21st at 11 a.m. at the City Lakeshore Center. The ceremony is open to the public. Refreshments will be provided after the ceremony. June events, Cookies and Milk with Cop, happening on June 12th and the 26th, July 10th and the 24th at the West Oaks Library from 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Children can enjoy story time with the Ocoee Police Department. Registration is required. Visit ocoee.org for more information. 4th of July and 250th celebration will take place on Saturday, July 4th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Bill Breeze Park. Come and enjoy rides, games, live music, food trucks, and fireworks. And finally, Family Recreation Day, happening on Saturday, July 18th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Jim Beach Center. Enjoy a day with your family and join us for rides, games, and free pool admission. Commissioner Oliver.
I think it's important for us as leadership or community leaders or anyone that understands the implications of tax reform and what it could possibly mean to the city and the services that we enjoy and sometimes take for granted because we don't use them. Sometimes you don't know what you need until you actually need it. Again, fire in your house or need a police presence, those things are important, and I think it's going to be important that we're almost in June, and these conversations are going to start having these conversations about tax reform, and we're going to know what's going to happen sometime around August. And I think it's important that we educate the public as much as we possibly can and encourage others to do the same about the importance of the property taxes and how we use them for first responders and life-saving operations of the city. So just wanted to just say that, just can't say it enough. But I will also leave you with this. Maybe you don't feel like enough, but neither did 5 loaves and 2 fish. Look what God did with that. That's all I got.
Okay, so that is it for tonight. Thank you all for coming out, and we will be back here on June 2nd and see you. We stand adjourned.